So the other day I found this video from so-called dating coach Derrick Jaxn, who wanted to give his own explanation or opinion on why he felt that older men are attracted to younger women. Let's check it out.
Truth is, a lot of dudes who are like 45, 50 years old who refuse to date women their age, they don't do so because they prefer young women and how they look. Because let's be real, it's a lot of 40-something-year-old women that'll give these 20-something-year-old girls a run for their money. But it's because of the mental aspect. Like, as a guy gets older, one who wants to play games, by the way, who's like 40-something, 50 years old, he remembers it being easier to play those games whenever he was like 20. Because women in that age group, they're more on hope than they are experience. But experience is the best teacher. So as he gets older and he's trying to date women his age, they're like, no. I've seen your kind before. Like, I've lived the proof that you're here to waste my time. And I ain't going. So now he gonna go out here talking about how he prefers younger women because older women his age are full of baggage and they're bitter. And it's like, nah, they ain't full of baggage and bitter. They have a BS detector, so they're harder to manipulate. And manipulative men don't like that.
Now, this is a very interesting point of view. Mr. Derrick Jaxn, who largely, serves a female audience, is saying something in which we all figured he would say. That the real reason that older men go for younger women primarily is that because older women are more intelligent than younger women and they won't fall for the same games that a younger woman will fall for. This is what he's saying. And of course, he's, taking away the arguments of, good looks or, just a different perspective or anything like that. Let me just say this in general before I get into the real subject of today. Younger women are actually harder to get with than older women. I don't know what Derrick Jaxn thinks, right? But a lady who is 45 or 50, let's say if you're 50 and you're trying to talk to her, you have a harder time trying to talk to a lady that is 25 in her prime. You want to know why? Because she has a lot of guys trying to talk to her. So it's actually harder dealing with somebody that's a younger woman. Now, let me kind of get into Babyface's situation today. Babyface recently was divorced 2 years ago. The woman he divorced, it was amicable, but he's now dealing with somebody else. And the lady is not really so important who he's dealing with, so I'm not even going to really mention her name, but he's dealing with another lady, all right? And recently they went to an award show and things like that. And, he was dressed, I guess pretty cool. And she was too and all of that. And she's 33. Okay. The lady is Rika Teschendorf. So I don't know if it sounds like a German last name. 33. Babyface is in his 60s. So why is Babyface dealing with a lady that's 33? Well, I can explain something. Number one, rule of thumb. If a man can typically get the better option, he will. And I'm talking about in looks, all right? Now, on average, we will say somebody who is 33 looks better than somebody who is 63. Now, Babyface is not, shabby looking guy at his age either, but why is he not dealing with somebody 50s or 60s? Let's go back to the so-called baggage thing. Now, let's look at, some people use cars to compare women. I don't want to do that because a car is it's not a real thing, right? It's this inanimate object. It is a real thing, but it's not a person. So let's just look at general managers. General managers and what we consider the NFL draft, which happens every April. What are we looking for in the NFL draft? Most people are looking for new talent, young talent that hasn't been tainted with baggage, right? Like some veterans. Some veterans can still play in the NFL, but because of a bad stereotype or a bad issue or something like that, they get blackballed from teams. And so that's something that a lot of guys are afraid of. Guys are afraid of people that have had relationships, especially women, that could have come from bad situations. All right. You don't know what her outlook is on relationships. You don't know what her, how she looks at the world, things like that. The younger a person is, a younger woman is, the more she's able to be malleable towards a relationship with a man. That's just in general. I'm not saying it always is the truth, but that's important for a man. Especially a woman who is younger, who could, let's say, for example, you want to have a baby with her. She's still in her childbearing years. That is attractive to a lot of men. It's just biological. Now, this whole thing that older women, you can't play the same games on them that you can a young woman, that could be true depending on the woman, that some women can already see those games, but it's not like that's the case, because most older women I've noticed have a lot much more expense. Let's say, for example, you're 50-year-old man. You're dating a woman that is 45. On average, that woman is much more expensive to maintain than a woman that's 25. It just, for the most part, it is what it is. The lady may have kids, a house note, different things, bad credit, all kind of stuff, right? A woman who is younger is actually not as financially expensive to maintain. And I'm not saying that women at 45 don't have money, because they can. But on average, a younger woman is, the less expensive she is to maintain financially. That has nothing to do with, games or anything like that. But the reality is that younger women, for most guys, just gives them a sigh of like rejuvenation, new ideas, having fun. That's something a lot of guys like, when you're with a younger woman, you go places, you do things, you do some fun things, some things that you might get caught up in this generation. A lot of that. Now, obviously, you have some downtimes and problems with that too. But the reality is that younger women tend to be, on average, not all the time, but for most guys, more interesting in sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but that's the case, And when a guy like Babyface has already been married and dealt with, somebody around his age, and I think the wife was still a little bit younger, the thing is that he's rich. Rich men are going to have access to beautiful, hot women. You can't deny that. Not saying that women cannot be beautiful and hot at 50 or 60, because they can. But in all actuality, 20 and 30-year-old women inside of a man's ecosystem, if he can get it, he's going to take it. It's just how it is. He's going to take it. That's the truth. It's going to take it. And a lot of people are mad about that and trying to down these guys. But, you never hear the same thing with Erykah Badu, who's 51, dates J-Ron Atkinson, who's 27. Or Madonna, 60-something years old, dating somebody that's like, I don't know, how old is the guy? 25. You don't hear it. You only hear it when it's men. That's when you always hear it. But like I said, a lot of times guys, and let me just say this, when you look at Kendra G's show, a lot of the ladies that come on there, they're not being reasonable for the kind of guy that they want for their own situation. So a lot of guys, when they even hear that or listen to how they talk, most guys are like, all right, look, I'm not even interested in dealing with her at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. I'm just not going to deal with that. So I won't. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jaxn, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.